This is KLEAN Radio.
Welcome everybody out there listening to KLEAN Radio on our flagship stations 790 KBC in Los Angeles, or an XM channel 243, the last channel on the XM dial, or on our live stream at KLEANradio.com. That's clean with a K. I'd like to welcome everybody out there. In New York on the phone is my co-host with the most, a man with 23 years of experience in mental health and treating people, Andrew Spanswick.
Hey, Judah, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good. Hanging out in rainy New York.
Yeah, it's, I don't feel bad. But, Andrew, I wanted to talk to you something about very quickly, so people understand about what this show is. It's a show about hope, and it's a show about, that you can recover, and that addiction is, while it seems like in the beginning it's a horrific thing, it could turn out to be one of the greatest blessings. So,
absolutely. I mean, that's definitely, we've seen with so many callers so far, and what we're now almost at 120 shows, I guess, right?
Yes.
So, and over the past 3 seasons of doing this, it's amazing some of the stories we've heard and people that we've helped provide help for, and it's a great thing to have happen.
And one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this was because last night, we have an amazing guest, by the way, tonight. I'll bring him in a second. He's an amazing writer. He wrote one of the best movies I've seen in a long time ago, but a while ago, a movie called Spun. His name is Will De Los Santos, and he's also going to talk about his new movie coming out called Transloco. But I was watching this show last night. I've been a little ill for the last week, and when you're sick at home, you end up watching the weirdest stuff. So I was watching this show called Hoarders, and I don't know how I got involved in watching this show, but I watched the first episode, and it was really depressing.
Was it the Hoarders Marathon?
It was a Hoarders Marathon, and I got stuck watching this. And I'm watching this show about this kooky person that a sick, diseased person, actually, with obsessive-compulsive disorder, that house is a mess, and they go in and they clean. And right away, both therapists, because they do two different people, go, I don't see any hope. And I'm like, well, that's really not what's the point of watching?
Who are they saying that to?
They were saying it to the cameras, not to the people.
Right.
But even as I'm hearing this, Andrew, and I'm hearing them say this, like, one of the things, that we always try to, like, not say, we say about people with addiction is there is hope.
Yeah, I think so. That's one of the problems with TV sometimes is, they have to create sort of a crisis to make it more exciting. So, they probably caught the therapists off guard, or the therapists, were being overly dramatic to make it seem like the treatment for hoarding, which is really the treatment for obsessive-compulsive disorder, is, it's a difficult treatment. It takes cooperation from a client that is generally very fearful and unwilling to get treatment. And it takes a therapist that, can handle that long-term commitment to work through a client with issues like that.
So there is hope.
Yeah.
They're just showing, like, worst-case scenario almost.
Yeah, and it's also television glamorizing. So that's what
you mean not everything is true on television?
Yeah, right, or the internet.
I'm shocked.
No, I think it's really kind of a shame that one of my problems with a lot of the television shows, even on addiction, I guess we can talk about Celebrity Rehab finally got canceled, after all the deaths they've had, but they would depict people throwing up and having seizures during withdrawal, and I've been doing this for years, and I've never had a single client have a seizure or be really sick at any of our facilities, because we do proper detox protocols.
Okay, and so secondly, but that's a very important thing I want to talk about before we get to our guest. And if you just tuned in, you're listening to KLEAN Radio. We deal a lot of times with a lot of people out there that don't always have funding to get help. And it really bothers me when I watch some of these shows, whether it's, whatever show it is. I think if you have a show on TV, on the radio, you should almost have, be willing to, if not yourself, find people that could help these people. So tonight we're going to try as much as we can, Andrew, with people out there that are listening, that are going through a rough time, that if anybody needs out, that for a few select people that need outpatient programs, we will offer them free outpatient programs.
Yeah, we're located now in quite a wide area, all the way from Washington State down through Southern California. So We have the ability to help some people for free.
So if anybody out there tonight is struggling, sorry, Andrew, so anybody out there is struggling, give us a call. And that number, Rand, is? So the number is 1-800-222-5222. That's 1-800-222-5222. And before any delay, let's welcome to KLEAN Radio a former friend of Andrew's, Will de Los Santos.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on, you guys.
Welcome to KLEAN Radio.
I was looking forward to seeing you out here, Andrew. I guess you're back in New York, but we'll see you soon.
So you guys actually share something very funny in common. You're both collectors of bizarre things, apparently.
Will, no longer a hoarder, though.
You're not a hoarder, but Andrew said he's a food hoarder.
Okay.
But Will has...
I'm a little bit of a hoarder. I have some weird collections, I have to admit.
Or as they called it on one show, you're a repurposer. But Will has actually slippers from Marlon Brando.
I do. I do have a pair of Brando's loafers, yeah. It was crazy how I got them, but yeah, I got them. A friend of mine was after Brando lost his, after he passed away, and Nicholson bought his property. I guess Nicholson just picked up a phone book and flipped it open and just pointed to some cleanup company, and my friend happened to own that cleanup company. So they came in, they videotaped the whole place, and they were like, instead of paying us, how about if we just take all the stuff that you're going to have us throw away and just store it? So they stored it. My friend Chrome Cobra, is his name, turned me on to it, and he told me that this guy had all this Brando stuff for sale, and they just couldn't put it on eBay. That was kind of the deal they did with the state. So the only thing I could really afford was the loafers.
Well, it was pretty cool.
They were $400. I paid $400 for them, so it was a great deal, I thought.
I think they're worth a lot more than $400.
I'm sure, and they fit perfectly.
And I think that's a lot less than Andrew spent on Marilyn Manson's mask.
Yeah, it's a death mask thing, and then I have a large collection of medical tools. So
that's thank you for sharing and scaring me. So you guys actually, one of the things I love about how addiction works is, there's this thing that it talks about in one of the 12-step programs like that, were people that would rarely mix, and it's also one of those things that you guys actually met while you were both, let's just say, not coherent, probably.
Okay, right.
And years later, you're now in this studio, Will is, and Andrew's in New York, and you're both of clear mind now.
Yes. And, I have, like, some time. I don't know, did I say how much time?
You could you share whatever.
Like, I took the program seriously for the first time 17 months ago. And, my life has changed in the past year amazingly. And, like you were just saying, there's hope, and I have my beautiful life partner in the other room with my beautiful babies. It's a testament to the fact that and those are the things that I really wanted in my life. I had success in the movie business while I was completely high, and that was like the big trap that hey, everything's gonna be just fine. I don't have to change a damn thing. My life's great. While I was completely using.
So what happened? So you wrote Spun, which had a lot of success, which is, it's a great movie.
Thanks.
And then what happened?
Well, it started off as a documentary when I was living in Oregon, and I was living in Oregon, and I thought, I'm going to be a documentary filmmaker. That's really kind of my first inclination. My notion was to make documentaries, not to make anything else. And so I was taking documentary interviews, interviewing a bunch of meth cooks. And through that process, it just became clear to me that these 3 days, they were pretty much like the lost 3 days. And I came back to where I was living. I was like, oh, my gosh, this documentary thing is, not nearly as interesting as if I were just to write a script about my last 3 days. So that's what I did, and that became a movie. And then through the process of moving down to L.A., I had like a yard sale, sold all my stuff, got on a Greyhound bus, came to Los Angeles, going to make a movie. And
so you really planned this out?
I did. I thought I could do. I thought I was going to come here in a month. I'd have it sold, And after a month, obviously I hadn't had it sold, and I was like living in this shitty tiny motel on Sunset, and ended up seeing Ron Jeremy, and I said, Ron, hey, I wrote you this part in this movie. You've got to be in this movie, and he's just like, meet me at the Rainbow.
Right.
He didn't know me, so I went to the Rainbow, and. I went to the Rainbow. He looked at the script. Hey, man, it looks really interesting. I like it. Come to my apartment tomorrow.
So Ron Jeremy invited you to his apartment.
Yes,
a month after you're in L.A.
Right, and I didn't even really know him at all. And so, but he looked at the script, he liked it. I go to his apartment 9 in the morning. He goes, "Can you drive?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Here's drive me to the airport." This is literally, I've only spent 10 minutes with him. So I get in the car. He goes, "Where are we going?" Burbank Airport. We drive to Burbank. He goes, "Okay, look, you can stay at my place. You got to put me in the movie. I'll be back in a month. The only rule is that you can't have any guests in the apartment." You know, and he lived in this. And he lived at the time. He still does, I believe, at the Franklin Towers, where the security runs the elevator, so they know if you have any guests or not. So that was the deal. So I stayed there for a month before he came back from his trip around the world collecting cash, whatever he's doing. I had
catching things,
right?
yeah.
I had optioned the movie, Spun. So that was the deal that I had with him. He appears in the movie, and I have to say, Ron was a great guy to me. And if it wasn't for Ronnie, the movie wouldn't have got made.
And that's actually an amazing story because usually it's the reverse. Somebody moves out to L.A., somebody in the porn business finds them, and he never
invited me to porn set. We never even talked porn, but I did stay in his place. I had no guests the entire time. And I was able to option.
By the way, Ron will do anything to get into a movie.
That's right.
Into a mainstream movie.
That's right.
Yeah.
God bless Ronnie, though. Like you say, for the business that he's in, and for as long as he's been here in Hollywood, not one person can say anything bad about him. That's an amazing thing about him.
That is actually an amazing thing. By the way, if you just tuned in, you are listening.
That's actually how I met Will, was through Ron Jeremy was good friends with Dave Schultz, who played.
That's right. The Grinch.
Goo Goo Dolls.
That's right.
And then he brought you over to my place.
That's right. Grinch. Grinch is still doing all right, I think. Yeah. Yep. I call him Grinch.
How weird.
It's an amazing story that you guys essentially met 12 years ago.
Right.
You're 13 years ago through these, which is sort of how I love about like movies, usually about it's sort of like these crazy intertwining stories that happen in 3 days' time.
That's true.
That are, because for addicts and Andrew and alcoholics, you could talk about this too, Will, 3 days is like 10 years.
That's true.
Addicts and alcoholics could do so much damage in three days.
True.
When we tell our stories, they almost chronologically don't make sense.
That's right. That's right.
And that's how I explain people when they say, "Do you believe in God?" I'm like, well, I was a drunk. Anything could happen, because anything happened for me in 3 days. But if you just tuned in, you are listening to KLEAN Radio. We're in the studio tonight with amazing writer Will Los Santos, who wrote Spun, who's got a new movie that he's in the middle of making called Transloco. Give us a call. The number here is 800-222-5222. That's 800-222-5222. All week long, people ask me constantly on Facebook, can I call in? And I'm like, yeah, you could call and we give you the number. So please don't feel, just give us a call. You don't only have to contact us on Facebook. So Will, you wanted to talk about Transloco. What is Transloco about?
Well, it's about forgiveness and brotherhood and acceptance, really. That's kind of the three words that I like to use so far in describing the movie. Without giving too much away, it's a story of a Chicano family, a Latino family in East LA whose sons, its two sons, come to a realization in their life where they find themselves. I'll say that, and it's there's nothing like it, and I'm very proud of it. And it's completely different than Spun. Spun was an unapologetic display of drug usage, and people say, my mother and other people can't stand the movie, but they didn't necessarily watch it to the end. Because I think if you do watch it to the very end, there is some type of lesson that this isn't good.
Right.
Right. But Transloco, there's no drug usage in the entire movie.
When did you write it?
Transloco?
Yeah.
I wrote it the day I began writing it, the day I got out of rehab.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I had started writing it several times throughout the last 7-8 years. I had the whole story in my head. And I would write 30 pages and lose my laptop as a collateral to a drug dealer or something crazy, I would just completely disregard anything that I had, as far as...
There's going to be 5 Writers Guild.
No, completely. No, actually, I finally did, I had my business manager take care of all that now. But no, I got out of rehab in January 2012, and the last time. And I began the production company, Muse Productions out of Venice, who own pretty much all the literary properties I ever had, who paid for my rehab. And
it's amazing.
Yeah, and for the second time.
But we say that jokingly, but it's important to say that to people because people think, and Andrew and I talk about this all the time. Don't if you're out there right now and you're struggling, it's okay. You might relapse. You can come back.
Yeah. Relapse is a really crazy word because it sounds like you've just broken down. It's almost like you've broken glass. Like you say, you're broken. It's like you've relapsed, and it's like, but I mean, yeah. I mean, I used to say for a long time, it's like, I just stopped using drugs.
Right.
I just stopped using drugs. I needed a break and all that kind of crap. So it's a very delicate thing. But I mean, relapse is a serious situation. And if you really want to quit, it's a very serious situation.
Yeah.
If you're just like I was for so many years, like, well, I just stopped for a while. Then it's just like, who gives a shit? Obviously you don't.
Because it's okay. We got it. Because it's still, you're saying basically reservations. And I one time heard somebody say, when you say you have reservations, usually you keep them.
That's right.
Or you might keep them. So if you're when you're getting sober and you're not involved necessarily in some form of therapy, 12 steps or all the tools out there, Andrew, and you're saying you have reservations, the odds are you'll probably book the reservations.
That's right. Well, I heard this one thing I heard in rehab the last time that was great. It was like there are two birds on a wire. One of them decides to fly away. How many birds are left?
One.
Two, because one he decided to fly away and he didn't do anything.
I failed my IQ test, Andrew. I know. I realized it right away. By the way, if you just tuned in, you're listening to KLEAN Radio. Give us a call at 800-222-5222. That's 800-222-5222. We're here with Will De Los Santos, writer of Spun and the upcoming movie Transloco. So essentially, between Spun and getting sober, was that just filled with using? Was it filled with that?
I have to say that when I got into drugs the very first time, I primarily just did methamphetamine, is that I have to say I was very productive artistically. Now, I was, but not did I derive any kind of benefit from it? Did I even keep any of my work? I would usually get desperate and sell it for very cheap. Literary properties that I feel are worth like hundreds of thousands of dollars or something that's important to me, I would give away for $1,000 or $5,000. I was always constantly in desperation. All of my drawings and paintings I would either lose, or my notebooks filled with great things I would just lose or give away or leave behind. So it was a really sad thing. And
I hear you. I mean, not to jump in, but when there are apartments across America before I got sober that I've left full furnished apartments, because it didn't matter.
Well, it did matter, but I didn't know how to I didn't know how to keep anything. Right. I didn't know how to be on time, to be there, to collect it even. This is the most minimal things. But I mean, I have to say that I would have to say, I can't say that I regret it, because I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't done it. However, if I had to do it again, I probably would make different choices, and I would spend my time more, better. I mean, now I wake up in the morning, my day's basically, I know what I need to do this day, and I'm going to accomplish it.
And you have a full life.
I do, and I like to. And one thing about I keep my friends, and I like to share myself. I like sharing. Like, what is anything without sharing it? Like a birthday cake, for instance. Anything. Yeah. And it's just like I'm just blessed that. To answer your question, though, Judah, to finish, but was it filled with this using? Those from Spun to I attempted to go to rehab a couple of times. I wasn't mandated to go. I was just by a court or anything. I just went by myself. Went, but I didn't. I thought it would be a decision I could just make. Yes, I'm going to do it, and that I didn't need to have any type of help, or I didn't think I could.
Which is the great disillusion, or of alcoholics and addicts, is that they could do it themselves.
Yeah, well, I mean, I thought I could. Some people can, whatever it takes for them to actually do it. For me, I needed to actually talk about it with other people, admit it, talk about it. Like, you know what, man, I'm thinking about getting high, even though I may not. But I'm certainly, if I don't talk about it, there's certainly a chance is greater that I'm going to if I just keep it inside.
Well, we have a call. Let's go to Jimmy in New Jersey. Welcome to KLEAN Radio, Jimmy.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good. How are you, Jimmy?
Hey, Jimmy.
Fantastic. And actually today is 9 months of clean and sober for me.
That's amazing, Jimmy. Congrats.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you. And you know, I've been following the radio station here on Facebook, and you know, I started hopeandfaith.org, and I go by the name of Rehab Jimmy on Facebook and Twitter, and sharing my story of what I've been through in 16 years of active addiction. And you know, I go around New Jersey working with hospitals and institutions with teenagers and young adults, and trying to show them that you know, I'm 35 years old, and you know, it's okay if you know, go get help, you know, get your life back, and you know, you can still have fun and enjoy life without a drink or a drug.
You know, Jimmy, I mean, that's one of the biggest messages that we try to share on this show, is that because, you know, especially to teenagers, I'm very involved with helping teens, and we are on this show. We're very involved in this program out here called the Teen Project, which is a youth center in Venice that really deals with teens at risk and in trouble. And we try to show them that there is fun. You know, yep. I don't remember concerts when I was drinking and on drugs. I could honestly say that. But a couple weeks ago, I was at the Killers concert, and I remember standing online for 9 hours, Andrew. And I remember the show for 5 hours.
Only somebody sober would be able to stand online for 9 hours.
It's my girlfriend wanted it, and as everybody always says, I got to hold on to her for dear life. So when people say that to you, you stand online with her for 9 hours to get into the Killers show. Jimmy, so you're sober 9 months now, right?
That's correct, sir.
What do you do for yourself?
Well, it's pretty interesting because I was a functioning addict, and I worked in the automobile industry for 17 years, right out of high school. I recently was terminated from my employment for decisions that I made back last summer, you know, in my active addiction. And, you know, apparently it was supposed to have been when I came back from rehab and I went back to work to my career, and, you know, everything was supposed to have been kind of squashed per se. And, you know, 9 months later, it bit me in the ass. So I recently just found myself in the unemployment line. And
Jimmy, hold on one second. I'm sorry to have to do this. Hold on, because I actually want to talk to you about this. We're going to have to go to break.
Okay.
So hold on the line for a second. We're in the studio with Will de Los Santos, the amazingly talented writer of Spun and the upcoming movie Transloco. We got Andrew on the line in New York. We got Jimmy on hold and calls coming in. So one of the things I want to talk about when we come back from the break is how you're doing this sober and how that feels, because I think that relates a lot to Jimmy. So the discussion continues at KLEANRadio.com.
Awesome.
Are you struggling with an addiction that's ruining your life? Want to have a confidential conversation with a professional that will immediately assist you? Do you suspect a loved one is abusing drugs and would like a free drug testing kit and consultation? KLEAN Treatment Center is standing by right now to help those with addictions and the people who care about them. Call 888-601-6040. That's 888-601-6040. Or go to KLEAN Treatment Center, that's clean with a K, KLEANTreatmentCenter.com.
Welcome back to KLEAN Radio. We have a first in the studio tonight. We have an actual baby. We are in the studio tonight with Will de Los Santos, writer of Spun and the upcoming movie Transloco, and his beautiful baby boy, Abraham.
That's right. Here he is, 14 weeks old.
And the true gift of sobriety. Andrew, you actually have to see this, Andrew. I'm actually sad that you're not in town to see this right now.
I'm waiting for the video stream to catch up with the delay.
Yeah, and so just so people know that we put the show up because your life partner, Jennifer, was asking before the show about how people could find the show if they're not watching it live, and they go on Wednesdays usually. Our video guy Patrick puts it up, and you go to KLEAN Radio / or Facebook / KLEAN Radio. That's clean with a K. We're in the studio, though. We're talking with Will, and one of the things I want to talk about is you got sober 17 months ago, and you have this movie that's in the works, and I'm going to get back to Jimmy in a second, but one of the things I want to quickly talk about is what are you doing today to take care of yourself so that, you know, because it's like all of a sudden sometimes people get the movie, you know, and it gets to their head a little bit, and then they stop doing the things that were important to them that got them there in the first place.
That's right. You know, it's staying connected to the program for me. Staying connected to people that are living in their lives, enriching themselves, not getting involved with old people and places and things, right? Completely changed where I spend my time and who I speak with, even on the phone, you know. And that is the primary thing. You know, I miss a lot of the people very much that I used to get high with. Sometimes I worry about them and I care about them, but you know, the best thing, if you really do care about them, is to lead by example. Change your life, and if they care about themselves and they care about you, then maybe they wish to see you. And you know, the only place that I will see them is at a program, or you know, at a meeting, or someplace where I feel safe.
Yeah,
because
and that's when they say it's a program of attraction, not promotion. Is right. Because there's nothing you're going to be able to say to somebody in active addiction sometimes, like, come to a 12-step meeting with me.
No way.
All they're going to see is, oh my God, Will looks great.
That's right. And he's doing well.
Right. What's up with Will? He's got a baby. He's got stuff in the works.
That's right. And you know, I have to say that, you know, a lot of times people are like, Santos, we just don't think you can do it, man.
Yeah.
You know, because many times I'll be in a place with a bunch of people. It's like, man, let's just go to rehab, all of us, right now. Let's go. You know,
yeah.
I'll go if you guys go.
Right. It would be great at a concert, Andrew, right? Like Marilyn Manson's performing, and he goes, everybody, let's go to rehab.
Right.
You know, like Andy Kaufman with Cookies and Milk.
That I would be very surprised to see happen.
I would actually be extremely. Let's get back to Jimmy, though. He's on hold. Jimmy, the reason I asked you, we have a caller on the line, Jimmy, who's sober 9 months in New Jersey. The reason I asked you about what are you doing to take care of yourself is because a lot of times when people get newly sober, they become huge in wanting to help other people, and sometimes they forget to take care of themselves. And
yes, I mean, I have two sponsors.
Oh, that's great.
And one is within the program, and the other one is more spiritual based. And you know, so I fill my days. I don't sit around and you know, everybody talks about that pink cloud per se, and you know, that bubble had passed a long time ago for me. And you know, you know, the things that I do on like Facebook and the Twitter, it does help me.
That's great.
And you know, the stories that you know, I read on there that people post on my fan page or whatever is just like, you know, it keeps you connected to how real and how big is really the epidemic on narcotic pain medicine really is these days. And it's kind of, you know, it keeps you kind of grounded to it. You know, I don't ever want to go back to that. I don't have another run left in me.
Jimmy, that's really amazing, and I want to thank you very much. You know, call back whenever you want and post on Facebook whenever you'd like.
Absolutely.
So, Jimmy, also when Transloco comes out, you got a movie on us in New Jersey, and I want you to take a couple kids, teenagers from
Awesome.
New Jersey with you that are trying to get sober. That's Clean Radio's treat, because it's important, Will. It's important that they see this movie coming out with that Will's making about hope. So, Jimmy, thank you very much for the call.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. And if you just tuned in, you are listening to Clean Radio. That's Clean with a K. And the contact information is... We're trying this new system out tonight. That's not working great. It's all good.
Why not join the conversation? Call 800-ABC-KABC. That's 800-222-5222. Follow us on Twitter @KLEAN Treatment. Post your questions and comments on Facebook.com/Clean Radio. And watch the worldwide live video stream at cleanradio.com. That's clean with a K.
It was actually my radio voice. So thank you very much.
Walt Disney just came back from the dead or something.
Yeah.
Like animatron plug there. That was great.
We have calls lining up, but there's something, Andrew, I want to talk about that, and I want to talk to Will about this too, because you were trying to get sober for a long time, and I'm sure there were, as was I. It took me 4 years to get 1 year.
Right.
And Andrew, I want to talk about this because people often talk about this pink cloud. And I think I had it the first couple times I was trying to get sober, but this time there really wasn't a pink cloud. It was life. And I'm so grateful, Andrew.
I think a lot of people that are, you know, desperately addicted, and we talk a lot about how hard addicts work to stay high, you know, just to feel normal, because they're so addicted to the drugs they're taking that when they finally actually go through detox and then they have that relief of actually having their life back a little bit and not being in this desperate cycle of pain and then temporary relief, then their body starts to actually release natural endorphins, and they actually feel relieved and they feel good, and they start feeling their regular feelings again, and things and mostly this happens with drugs that are depressants like alcohol and opiates, where you get that type of feeling. With methamphetamine, for example, that feeling generally takes a lot longer to come back because the damage that's done to the brain cells is much more dramatic in a shorter period of time. So, and it takes a little bit longer for the brain to sort of rewire itself and start compensating for any damage that might have been done.
So what we're saying, though, also is it takes time. When you get sober, it takes time till things, we often hear people say, why am I not getting better? I'm 10 days sober. Why am I still shaky? Of course you're still shaky. Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, people, Americans as a culture, I think, are sort of into instant gratification. They want the quick fix pill. We see this in the weight loss industry, where, everybody wants the quick fix, and it's amazing. I mean, California must be the home of every diet on earth. I mean, it's just like... No,
it is. I got to be honest. I started Googling this thing.
This week,
Andrew, I don't want to say the name because I actually started Googling this reshaping thing, thinking this is the trick. But nothing that's worth it could be that easy. That's just my opinion, right?
That's right. It takes long-term change, and it takes a dedication to a lifestyle that supports being healthy. And then the rewards from being healthy they come in different ways. They don't come instantaneously by like taking a pill or whatever. It takes, you get the rewards of actually living your life and being the real person that you can be. So
okay, let's go to
for the Army.
We actually have a special call. Let's go to Kathy in Los Angeles, who says she knows Will very well. Welcome to Clean Radio, Kathy.
Hi.
Hey.
So, recognize my voice?
Yeah, hey, Mom.
You hardly ever have time to talk to me, so I thought I'd catch you now. What I want to say is, from a mother's perspective, my son took drugs. Took drugs most of his adult life, and there were long periods of time I would not hear from him. One time it was 3 years I didn't hear from him, and I thought I would bury him. I thought one day I would get a phone call, and that I would have to go and identify him and bury him. And it broke my heart. It killed me. And his brother, he would ask, have you heard from him? So when he finally did go and get clean this last time, and he's tried other times, but when he finally did, his reward is huge. Not only has he got his career back, but he's got this beautiful girl that's in love with him. They have a healthy baby boy.
Who's sitting on his lap right now.
Is he? Oh, my God.
In the studio. You have a beautiful grandchild, Abraham.
Thank you, I know. And he has a mother, a brother. He's got a whole family that not only is glad he's back in their life, but we want him back in our life, because when we would hear from him, it would be scary. He would need something, or it would be, terrible circumstances.
Right.
And now it's like, not only, we're all thrilled.
Right, like every phone call isn't the catastrophized phone call. I don't know if that's even a word.
That's true.
But now
that's exactly
it's like, okay, how you doing?
That's right.
As opposed to, I need something.
Right. So we're all so thrilled. He's got a little niece that is like so in love with him. Haley, just so proud of you and happy with you.
So let me ask you a question, Kathy. What did you do to help yourself also? Because you must have been. Were you alone dealing with this? Did you go to
No, I have a husband who is very, very supportive of me, and I finally had to let God.
Right.
I had to. There was nothing else for it. I was hysterical all the time, worrying about him, and the phone would ring, and it would be like somebody saying, "Well, is he your son?" Yeah. I thought it would be, to bury him. So that's what I did.
And there are a lot of mothers out there, there are a lot of wives out there, and sisters and brothers and husbands that are listening to you right now. And the amazing thing about your message is that there is hope.
That's right. There's hope. There it is. There are miracles, and he's one of them. So
Will, is this hard to hear?
No, I mean, I'm just hoping. No, it doesn't. I love you, Mom. I'm glad you called in. I didn't expect you to call in. I just sent you a message. That was going to be on the radio, but that's cool. No, it's good. I'm glad you did, Mom, and I hope you're well. I'll call you later tonight. I really will.
Okay.
And I love you.
Goodbye.
And it's good hearing your voice. Tell Steve I said hello.
And Kathy, thank you so much. You have an amazing son.
Thank you, Mom.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Mom.
Will, if it helps, I get this all the time from my mother, and it's one of the gifts that we're able, you know. And Andrew, we talk about this a lot because, you know, Andrew's, you know, father's going through a rough time now in New York with, you know, our prayers are with Andrew's dad, and one of the things is they don't have to worry about us. We're sons showing up, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, you know, my dad has terminal cancer, and you know, they gave him 4 months to live, and he's been around for 3.5 years. He won't give up. So yeah, it's great. So you know, and I came out here to help with that, as well as work as well. I'm doing some work as well.
But it's amazing that you get to show up, and it's like I always say to parents I always say that to other alcoholics or other drug addicts is when we talk about amends that we get to make, the amends are, Will, that we get to be a son. You know, we get to be a brother, and those are the gifts.
That's true. And, you know, my mother came to visit me in rehab, which I didn't expect her to do that either, you know. Yeah, it's, you know, the one thing that between, say, my using and that lost many years there is that I just stayed away from people that I really cared about.
Yeah.
You know, and and anyone that I wanted to know, I had to have like a double life, or I would avoid them, or you know, that kind of thing. So
you know, I want to say something very quickly because we met through Ashley, and we met through Ashley Hamilton, who's one of my closest friends. Who, you know, and you had called in the show, and Ashley years ago, we were sitting in the car driving, and he goes, "What's God to you? Like, what is your?" I was like, "What?" You know, Ashley always has these like questions that you don't know how to answer right away, Andrew. And he goes to me, and I said to him, and this goes back to what you were talking about before about regret. And I said to him, you know, I don't get upset about the things in the past. You know, the girl that I didn't marry, or the job that I didn't land, because I wouldn't be right here, right now with you. You know, and I say that with all the sincerity in my heart. You know, it's like those 8 years got you, you know, however long of a time it was, got you to right here, right now.
That's right. And I have to say that, you know, if I hadn't walked the path, that led me here, that I wouldn't be here. And you know, so
it's like with Andrew and I never would have met Andrew had it not been for a certain situation in his life. Is that a good way of saying it, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's important just to recognize the process of living, and you know, becoming sober is about re-engaging and you know, taking your life back and moving forward.
That's right.
And it's, you know, people often vilify people that have had a problem with either drugs or alcohol,
right?
Or stereotype them as being, you know, irresponsible
and bad,
or bad, or and that they should feel a lot of shame. And the reality is, the more people you meet that have become sober, the more you realize that addicts tend to be extremely intelligent. They tend to be extremely gifted, but they also, you know, tend to be extremely haunted by either issues or problems in their lives that they were trying to, you know, cope with, but they couldn't, and drugs and alcohol were an easy way to self-medicate. And I think that a lot of what you see in recovery is people, very smart people, realize that they got caught in a trap with addiction, and then they find out that there's other ways to deal with those problems more effectively.
No, and we're really blessed. I mean, Will, you know, it's like I don't know if you have any other children, but
no, I do not.
And you weren't married, so or have a life partner. So I didn't have that either. So it was a lot easier for me getting sober because I didn't have those certain things, you know, that could hold you back, or the more fears you have if you have children and you're trying to get sober. And but Andrew, even if you have, no matter what situation you're in, you could get sober. And
absolutely. There's no reason that somebody can't get sober. The real problem is generally people willing to be at a point where they feel that they themselves can get sober. They can go through what they perceive as losing the best coping mechanism they have for surviving.
That's right.
Which is staying active in their addiction.
Right.
And that's part of one of the trickiest things about addiction is that it has this component called denial, where people actually deny that the problem, they don't want to let go of the addiction, so their brain tricks them into denying that they have a problem or minimize how bad it is, so that they can just keep using because there's such a strong internal drive.
Right. Or they'll get a job.
Yeah, and they also lower what's important to them.
Right.
You know, when you're 18 or 19, it's like, oh, I want to go to.
The other thing when you get sober, what you find out is what you thought was really important, you don't care about it at all.
At all.
You know?
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, and then you find out babies are important, being
on time,
having a life partner,
eating food.
But it's amazing, like, and I hate.
It has 27 women with 14 babies now, I think, right?
Who, me? What? That's a whole different show, Andrew. And if you just tuned in, you are listening to Clean Radio. Let's go to another person. This is your life. I don't mean to scare you. Let's go to Janet. Janet, welcome to Clean Radio.
Hi.
Hey,
Hi,
Janet.
how are you, Janet?
I'm good. I wanted to ask Will a question. I happen to have been where he was when he was in rehab.
Yes.
And I wanted to know...
She's the intake coordinator there?
Pardon me?
You were an intake person there?
Yes.
Yes. You were wonderful, by the way. Thank you so much, Janet. I miss you. Couldn't have done it without you. You know it.
What I wanted to ask you was maybe it could help some other people that maybe have gone through what you've gone through. When you go to a treatment center and someone tells you you need to come back the next day and there's no guarantee that there's going to be space for you, what motivated you to come back twice in a row in order because I remember the shape you were in was like everybody else was like, forget him. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm going to keep praying. I'm going to keep hoping. He's going to come back. So what would you say to somebody who can't get in somewhere and they tell them they're on the list?
Well, I remember I could barely walk, much less stuff. And I could barely, I remember I walked into the intake place and I just laid down on the couches and with my legs hanging off and I just went to sleep. And I got up and ate like 5 sandwiches they gave me and I went back to sleep again. And I woke up screaming on the phone to Muse Productions to pay for my rehab. And then I remember I left because there wasn't any room. I had to come back the next morning. And what made me come back was that I had already made it, for me, I had already made it a decision that I was going to go there. I'd already made that decision. I'm going to Claire. I'm going to get clean. I'm going. Right. So, when I went in that first day and you guys told me to come back the next day, I tell you what, if I had left Claire that night, or that afternoon, and I had gone to a drug den or one of my friend's house, what I did is I stayed by myself the whole night. I stayed alone. I slept outside. I didn't go anywhere. I just stayed close to Claire. I went back to my production office there, and I stayed outside the door there all night long. It was freezing cold. I didn't sleep. I didn't do any drugs. I just kept thinking, I'm going to go back there over and over and over and over. And I just walked straight, and I walked all the way back from Muse in Venice, down the alley there in Speedway, right there in Venice Beach, and I walked all the way back to Claire. And I remember I was supposed to have been there at 8 a.m. or something, 7. I got there like at 11, just because I walked around. I'm going to go there. I'm going to go there. I didn't go to anybody's house. I had lost my phone. I had just been, it was just, I guess what motivated me to come back there was that I wanted to get clean. That was the motivation. There was no changing that. I was going to go back. So I remember when I walked back in, and you were there, and you guys all applauded. That was really great.
But essentially, though, Will, what you're saying is, and what Janet's asking is actually a great question. I could have got
caught up someplace else.
Yeah, but you at that moment, you were like, I'm going to use, and Andrew and I go through this a lot because Andrew likes to give away beds. And one of the things, he'll give away a bed and then, and all he asks for sometimes is somebody to pay their plane fare. Yeah. Figure out a way to get something. Mm-hmm. Because all we want to see sometimes, and you were willing, you used every skill you had that night to figure out a way to get into Claire the next day.
Yeah, I didn't want to, I could have gone to, tons of places and just gotten high, just stayed out.
You made that decision.
I was I was going to go in no matter what. And so, I had it. I made it sure my life didn't get any better that night. I didn't go back to, Echo Park, or I didn't go over to Malibu or anywhere else in Venice or in Hollywood, many places I could have gone and gotten treated well for a drug user, and given a couch, given, whatever. I had all my stuff in storage at the time. So it wasn't like I was like, I was always like, I'm going to go on one more good run. Do all those crazy things I want to do high, and then I'll go to rehab.
Right.
Well, it never quite happens that way.
It never happens.
Right. So I just made sure that I didn't see anybody that night. That night I stayed by myself, completely didn't talk to anybody. As a matter of fact, I wasn't telling anybody I was even going. And You know, so that's what happened, you know.
Janet, thank you so much for the call, by the way.
Thank you, and I'm really proud of you, Will.
And thank you for the job you did, Janet.
Yeah, Janet's a wonderful person there. Thank you very much, Janet. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And that was Janet calling up and asking Will, you know, how he did it when he got, not rejected that first night, but they told you might have to wait a day.
Well, you know, honestly, I should have said this before she'd hung up. But what happened was is that I walked outside to smoke a cigarette in the checkout, and they said, so she kind of helped me walk. So I was really in bad shape. Hadn't taken care of myself at all. My feet were so bad. You know, I had these big corns on my feet. I was a mess, you know. And she walked me out to the cigarette area, smoking area, and I reached into my pocket and pulled out some cigarettes, and I dropped my bag of drugs on the ground right in front of her. And she's like, you know, hey, you know, those, you know, do you want that? She said this. And I said, I bent down, and she picked it up, she held it to me up, and I said, no, I don't. No, I don't. And then she dumped it out and said, okay, come back tomorrow. That's what happened.
Right.
And so, yeah, so, I mean, maybe she wanted me to tell that story. So, I mean, that's pretty much what happened. You know, they said, okay, come back the next day.
And by the way, if you just tuned in, you're listening to KLEAN Radio, and if you hear a baby in the background, that's our guest, Will Los Santos, 14-week-old baby.
His middle name's Hero.
Abraham Hero. And
right.
Mine's Savior. No, I'm joking. It's not. But if you're listening...
a very good boy.
You know, I one time heard somebody share this, and I posted this on Facebook, Andrew, last week, and I was saying I one time heard there was babies crying at a 12-step meeting, and there were like little kids running around, and the speaker said, "Don't let the voices of the children bother you. They're the sounds of families that wouldn't be together if not for the program of the the 12 steps." And I thought it was one of the coolest things.
It's amazing, actually, how many people that I meet that work in treatment that have had parents who are alcoholics or drug addicts, and maybe they had a brief stint of an issue themselves. But, a lot of kids actually grow up in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, and, it's kept their family together and given them opportunities that they otherwise wouldn't have had. So, and that's the important thing. I think the most important thing about Alcoholics Anonymous is it gives you a fellowship of people in a community of people that are sober that can give you a new start in life as you get sober.
That's right.
And a lot of free babysitters. By the way, somebody just texted me, how come Sirius dropped us? We didn't drop us. We just switched on the dial. So if you just tuned in and you haven't heard us on Sirius XM 165, that's because they put us in the special position of being the last radio station on the Sirius dial on XM channel 243. But you can also find us in many different places. You can find us at KLEAN Radio /Facebook, KLEANradio.com. You can find us on Twitter. Rand wants me to post and say this right now. Rand, go for it. Give us our contact info, Rand.
If you've got any questions or comments, you don't have to go on the air. Just call 800-ABC-KABC. That's 800-222-5222. Follow us on Twitter @KLEAN Treatment. Post your questions and comments on Facebook.com/KLEAN Radio. And watch the worldwide live video stream at KLEANradio.com. That's KLEAN with a K.
And so we're in the studio right now with Will Los Santos. We're running out of time. Will, I want to thank you so much.
I've had a wonderful time. Thank you very much for having us.
And you wanted to say something?
I want to say, that to the people that are out there that are using, I doubt that very many people, most people probably tune in.
You'd be surprised, by the way. We've had people.
I would love to listen to the show when I was high. I would have loved it.
I can't tell you how many people that have come back to treatment that were in our treatment center before go, Judah, I listened to your show high. Right. And I'm like, it was Judah and Andrew. And I'm like, are you out of your mind? Right. I'm like, you listened to Judah. I mean, we must have just killed your buzz.
Right. Well, I know that I posted on my Facebook and a couple other fan pages and whatnot of other people and stuff. So I know that some people that I know that I love and care about that I know are in active addiction are probably listening, and some people that I know as well that are sober, along with the normies.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, the people, I just want to say it to the people that I know and the people that I don't know that are in an active addiction that, my life is a testament to the fact that, I never thought I would be this content. Not that restless and discontent, none of that. But I really didn't think I'd be this happy in sobriety. I really did not. I didn't think it was possible for me to have any kind of relief that I needed to have, or that I would be able to, get some kind of calm in my life without drugs. But I have to say that people, man, it is really much better.
Yeah.
My life is so much better. I know yours would be too.
And we're not saying it. And Andrew, we talk about this all the time. We're not saying to people out there.
I love
just
getting high.
because,
No one loves getting high more than me.
Yeah.
I tell you that. Okay, but no one could love it as much as I loved it for so long.
Right.
You know, I was like the prince of getting high. You know, so. But I certainly know this.
Until you became the pauper.
That's right. Yes. But I could say this is that I didn't. You know, I'm much sharper. I'm much more creative. I'm much more reliable, and I'm a friendlier person.
You're in the game.
Completely.
You know, and when you're using, it's like, you know, and Andrew, we talk about this so often. It's like I used to say I'm going to do that tomorrow. I'm going to go to the boss tomorrow, right. And I'm going to say this is my idea,
right.
Or I'm going to send out my script tomorrow. Right. When you're drinking, when you're using, tomorrow doesn't come, and I'm not. That's it's right. Not a cliche. It's a fact.
Right. I mean, most of you don't even open your mail. You just shove it in a drawer and avoid all your problems.
That's right. Exactly right. And then when the drawer is stuffed, you put it in the trunk.
That's true.
And at least I did. And so, Will, I just want to thank you so much. Andrew, we'll see you back here next week.
Probably just going to be gone for a couple more weeks. But
okay, we'll see you when we see you.
I hope your dad's
yeah, and all our prayers are with your mom and your dad. Your mom is an amazing, strong woman, and a strong a strong Scottish woman.
Irish. She's Scottish.
I changed it right away, and your mother will catch that error. I want to thank, so Andrew, we'll talk to you later.
Okay, thanks, Paul, and see you guys soon, and thanks to Patrick and Rand and everybody else.
Thank you, Andrew. So, when are you starting to shoot? Do you know yet?
We're looking for August. We're looking at an August shoot date, 24 days here in L.A.
I want you to make me a deal here at KLEAN Radio. I want to do as much as we can to, you know, when the movie comes out, to help you promote it.
Absolutely.
You let us know whatever it is we can do to help promote Transloco.
That's right.
And I love that you have these two movies now. You have one that's Spun, which if you make it all the way through, there is hope in it too.
Right.
And if you watch Transloco, it's two total opposite ends of the spectrum.
That's correct.
And it's almost like you're using tale, and now your sobriety tale about how you look at life differently.
Well, yeah, in a way, yeah. And I can't wait for you to see it so you can understand what I'm talking about.
I can't wait to see it either, and I hope you allow me to come down there and watch it while you're shooting. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Absolutely.
And we're running. It's Will de Los Santos. If you haven't seen Spun, go out and get it. And I'll tell you what, if you're on iTunes, if you're on Facebook and you haven't seen Spun, and you contact us, KLEAN Radio /Facebook. And you say, I haven't seen Spun, you will have Spun tomorrow. So just let us know that. I didn't mean for it to sound so good like that. So I want to thank everybody out there. We're out of time, but I know it's been a little, we've had a lot of stuff going on this hour. So give us a call off air at 888-601-6040. That's 888-601-6040. If you didn't get a chance to call in and you need immediate help, all those offers stand. If you need help and you need outpatient and we can help you, give us a call, 888-601-6040. That's 888-601-6040. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for having me on, Judy.
Are you struggling with an addiction that's ruining your life? Want to have a confidential conversation with a professional that will immediately assist you? Do you suspect a loved one is abusing drugs and would like a free drug testing kit and consultation? KLEAN Treatment Center is standing by right now to help those with addictions and the people who care about them. Call 888-601-6040. That's 888-601-6040. Or go to KLEAN Treatment Center, that's clean with a K, KLEANTreatmentCenter.com.